Welcome back to Lutherans Alive and our guests from Our Redeemer Lutheran Church in McMurray, Steve Broom and Gerda Moll. Thanks again for being here and for sharing the skit with us, the puppet dialogue that we just experienced. Let's talk about that a little bit and how and why that works and what you're trying to accomplish with that kind of a presentation for the young people.
We use the puppets intentionally for the teaching piece. We'll read a lesson and then reflect on it using the puppets. We find that it works better to give the children a chance to not have to make eye contact. That's a discomfort zone. That's a tough place for people who are autistic. But they have a chance to relate to the puppets directly if they'd like. And so we find that's an easier way to teach and engage them with the lessons, with the thing that we're trying to communicate.
And one of the things you were sharing while we were not on the air today is that there is allowance for or room for interaction between the autistic folks that are there and your conversation. You want to share at least one of those examples?
Absolutely. That's part of why I write the scripts the way that I do. There are moments where I refer to, I wonder how that works for other people in this script. And while these kids typically are not very verbal, there are times when a topic will catch them and you're off to the races. You'll hear quite a lot. And in this case, one of the kids who was there said, "Oh, that works just great for me. I make notes and draw pictures all the time while I'm waiting for my chance to talk." So we end up sometimes with a little bit of a side trip, but it's always worth it.
Mm-hmm. And music is very much a part of their worship experience as well, isn't it?
Yes, normally an autistic child is very taken with music. So if you haven't drawn them into what you'd like them to hear or experience, you can do it through music. So we have our organist who comes to the service and plays the piano with us, as well as instruments. We have a basket of instruments that traditionally is there, and they are passed out. When we first started the service, we would pass them out, collect them, pass them out, collect them. And then as the services have progressed, they keep them. We weren't sure how disruptive that was going to be, but they handle them quite well. So we have a range of tambourines and maracas and triangles and horns, so they engage with the songs and singing. And part of the autistic child's experience is that they like routine, they like repetition, they like that constant. And so we have a service that pretty much is the same in terms of songs. There are some that we have reintroduced because they like them. Some we've gotten rid of because they didn't, but they like to know what to expect. And so it's very interactive, and we move and make noise.
Yeah. And how often is this kind of a service offered?
Once a month. We've been doing this for about a year and a half. And people really rejoice in the opportunity to worship together with their children. We've even had another couple who are pastors who serve on their own, but seldom have a chance to be in the pew with their child, let alone let their child be who they are without feeling like a need to quiet them or discipline them. Because we're in the worship space, which is quite a safe place, the children can wander if they need to, move, even run about if they need to. It works out very well for us. We hope someday to be more frequent than once a month, but that's where we are right now.
And is it the first weekend of the month, or is there a set schedule for that?
It's a set schedule. It's monthly, and I think it's the second Sunday.
It is.
Okay.
It's the second, yeah. It's the second.
Now, as we just experienced, you're doing the puppet play together here. Steve, as you're writing or preparing the content for that, how much of that is biblical content? How much of it is socialization? How much of it is intended to be focused on teaching? And how much is just that experience of being in the story?
It would be hard to describe percentages to all of those things. All of those things are important. Socialization, building relationships, building a trusting relationship through a safe approach, which the puppet does. Jesus is in there. Jesus shows up, and Jesus is the primary teacher for us. But it has a lot to do with issues which we hope are relevant and already inside the minds of the children that we're speaking to, so that it's easier for them to relate.
Seems like it would be a bit of a challenge with the setting and the worship, not knowing, for example, how many folks will be there or the age distribution, perhaps. how significantly does that affect what you do on any given Sunday when you're having this worship?
It might be described as flying by the seat of our pants. So we try to be prepared for whoever comes in the door, however many people that might be, and also what kind of a day they're having, because there's a real emotional range here too.
Mm-hmm. We have a service at Christmas time specifically for young children. And one of our little autistic guys attended that service, and then several months later came back to the Joyful Noise Autistic service, and he approached Pastor Schmidt and said, "We're not doing Silent Night tonight, are we?" Because the lights became very dim at that point at Christmas time. And she said, "No." And he said, "Oh, thank goodness," because that was unnerving for him, and they had to leave at that point. So, sometimes they're affected by lighting and loud noises or change. Mm-hmm. Change is often unsettling. But he delights in the service and enjoys immensely. But I think it's just a natural extension of who our Redeemer is in terms of our ministry and what we provide. And there is, communion offered, so the adults who are there feel as if they have also, had a meaningful worship experience.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the fact that parents, that families in general do rejoice in the experience of being able to have that spiritual time with their autistic family members. How many of them are from the local community, and are you beginning to draw from further distances as word gets out about this kind of a special offering?
We've been surprised at the distance people have been willing to come for this opportunity. I think it's even more than usually difficult for children who are autistic to be in worship with their parents and to be themselves. When folks have little ones, they have a tendency to want to make noise and move about. That's everybody. And how do we manage that? That seems to come to a comfortable balance, and when not, you can always head for the door. I think it's more difficult to do that when your child is dealing with autism as well. So for the children to be able to move about, to be themselves, to do things which might in another setting be seen as disruptive, but here are really just fine because we know that's part of how these folks are interacting with their environment. And oftentimes someone might be walking directly away from you and yet listening very carefully to everything that's said.
So posture and attentiveness may not be often as
they signify
clear.
Different things. That's right.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a wonderful offering and opportunity to for the church to be available and welcoming to folks in very unique circumstances and situations, and certainly a wonderful and clear message that the church wants to send. We thank you for bringing the message to our program today and sharing the unique ministry that is going on at Our Redeemer. And we've come to the end of our program today already, but we hope that we've also been able to help folks be aware of a unique and wonderful ministry like this, and we wish you God's blessings as you continue in your ministry there.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
If we can share any resources with people, this is not something that we have copyrighted, and if anyone is interested, we'd be happy to share resources.
We'll put some contact information on the screen for the program so people will have the opportunity to make that contact. Thank you for being with us today on Lutherans Alive. We hope you've enjoyed this opportunity to hear about one congregation's unique ministry to a specific segment of the population who also needs to hear the good news of God's love and experience it for themselves. Until next time, this is Lutherans Alive. Good day, and God bless you.